During this lesson you will be required to fill out a worksheet. I recommend you read through the worksheet before viewing the lesson. In order to give you time to do this, you can use the pause button at the bottom of the screen. Learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson you should be able to describe what the 3-4-5 triangle is using a sketch to illustrate your answer, and describe one method of lining in a border course in paving using a sketch to illustrate your answer. Introduction. All paving projects need to be set out. This is the process of establishing lines, levels, curves and arcs, as well as positioning in relation to a house or other building. On large projects, automatic levels, theodolites and laser levels are used to assist in the setting out. But there are some basic setting out skills that require nothing more technical than a string line, an accurate spirit level, a tape measure, a handful of marker pegs, preferably 12mm steel reinforced bar, and occasionally a calculator. Working example. To illustrate some of these basic principles used in setting out, here is a driveway shown opposite. This is a common layout for a block pave or brick paved driveway. The object is to create a drive 7 meters wide, which is to align with the left hand edge of the front door, with a curved sweep on the right hand side to accommodate a double width garage, and a smaller curve on the left hand side to tie in with a 1.2 meter wide pathway along the front of the house. The drainage of the pavement is catered for by the existing surface water gullies located on both front corners of the property. The general level of the site is flat, with no more than 50mm of a fall from the paving level at the front of the house to the public footpath outside the garden. Fastening string lines. A double loop is used to fix one end of the line to the first pin, as seen in the photograph opposite. Once the line is fastened onto the first pin, it is stretched out to the next pin and fastened by means of a half hitch. The tension in the line holds this in place. Setting out a straight line. The start and end pins are positioned first. A string line pulled tight between the two, and then the intermediate pins established so that they are just touching the taut string line. We can see the first one there is perfect. That's okay, because the intermediate pin is just barely touching the string line. However, once all intermediates are in place, the alignment of the string should be visually checked for accuracy by sighting along the line with your eye. So if the pin is too far away from the line, when the line is fixed to the pin, this will create a kink. Also, if the pin is touching off the line too much, this will also create a kink in the line, so we won't have a straight line. Setting out a perpendicular. A perpendicular is a line that is at exactly 90 degrees to a baseline. They are essential to accurate setting out and are constructed using one of the fundamental principles of building work, the 3-4-5 triangle. From Pythagoras' theorem, we can establish that any triangle that has side lengths in the ratio of 3:4:5 must be a right angle triangle. It doesn't matter if the side lengths are 3 meters, 4 meters and 5 meters, or 60 feet, 80 feet and 100 feet. As long as the 3-4-5 ratio is maintained, the triangle will have a right angle. With larger triangles, we will perform more check measurements to ensure accuracy. Setting out a perpendicular. The most important line to be set out is the left-hand edge of the driveway, line AB, marked in red on the drawing, which is perpendicular to the front of the house and is aligned with the left-hand edge of the front doorway. To establish this perpendicular, we use the 3-4-5 triangle. The dimensions on the drawing states that the distance from the left-hand edge of the doorway A to the right-hand corner of the property C is 7 metres plus 3 metres, which is equal to 10 metres. For our right angle triangle, we need to be as exact as possible, so a measurement of 8 metres is made along the front of the house from point A and is marked with crayon or chalk at point D, just in front of the garage door. "8 metres has been chosen as the length of the baseline AD because it is a multiple of 4, the largest side of the 3-4-5 triangle other than the hypotenuse. The baseline is regarded as true and so the longest available edge. Therefore, 4 always goes along the baseline. Setting out the perpendicular. From these two fixed points A and D, we now mark out 2 arcs. These can be scratches on the ground, spray paint, crayon, or anything that can make a mark. So from point A we mark out a 6 metre arc, which is the 3 side of the 3-4-5 triangle, and from point D we mark out a 10 metre arc, therefore the 5 side, the hypotenuse. Where these two arcs intersect, point E marks the apex of the 3-4-5 triangle. So we drive in a steel pin to mark this point. A string line is securely fastened to point A and pulled tight past the marker pin at E and extended all the way out to the front of the drive. As long as the line is just touching the marker pin at E, the perpendicular line created from the 3-4-5 triangle is established, and point B can be established and marked with a steel pin. The accuracy of the perpendicular can be checked by measuring the hypotenuse BD. We know that AD is equal to 8 metres, and we can measure that AB is equal to 12 metres. Pythagoras tells us that the hypotenuse BD is equal to the square root of AD squared plus AB squared. BD is equal to the square root of 8 squared plus 12 squared. So BD is equal to the square root of 64 plus 144, which is equal to 208. So the square root of 208 is 14.42 metres, which is the length of BD. The distance from point B to point D is measured and checked against the calculation for accuracy. A measurement of between 14.4 metres and 14.45 metres will be satisfactory as a check. If the measure is outside this tolerance, check the perpendicular again. Conclusion. As long as a 3-4-5 ratio is maintained on all 3 sides of a triangle, the triangle will have a right angle. One method of lining in a border course in paving is to use 2 steel pins and a string line set to the correct height and in the correct position.